Welcome back to episode 110 of AyyScare Plays Front Office Football 8. So, just tuning in, our Jacksonville Cougars here. We were on the up and ups, and we had a slump year last year. And I am kind of not feeling this quarterback that we kind of put a lot into right now. So, to just give a quick background here, let's hop back to our team here, Jacksonville. Our quarterback, who's kind of the main story here, Harry McGee. We spent 3 first-round and 2 second-round draft picks on him. And we got him 4 seasons ago now. And rookie year, went out, got Offensive Rookie of the Year. Second year in the league, actually made the Pro Bowl on the second-team Pro Bowl team. And then the past 2 years, it's been a little bit of a decline. Outside of the second year in the league, he's never gone for more than 16 touchdown passes. And even when he did, he only put up 22. Last year, he actually put up more interceptions than touchdowns. He has only 7 300 passing yard games so far on his career. And I'm just really not sure what to make of it. In real life, you also get the clear dynamics of, the quarterback doesn't like the play calls, or the, head coach doesn't get along with somebody, or maybe he hates his wide receivers, This game gives you some things like the attitude overview and things like that. But there really doesn't seem to be anything going on there. One thing that I was looking at, and one of the reasons that this was set to Buffalo before, when we first started here, if we go to Buffalo, and just as a reminder, I put a lot of time into 7. 8 is very, very similar, at least so far, but I'm not sure if certain things have changed. So just to show you what I mean, if we look at our team again, one of the things that I mentioned at the end of last episode was maybe the issue is we don't really have a star wide receiver on our team. Maybe that's why our quarterback is kind of slumping so much. We have a good tight end. We have a above average running back. And then we have 2 wide receivers that are both in the 50 range, which is generally considered a good player. If we look at Buffalo, who was one of the top teams last year, they have a quarterback that's about the same rating as us. But they have 3 wide receivers that are all basically in the 60 range. They also have a tight end, but he was down in the 40s this year, but he'll progress probably. Actually, they had this tight end, I missed that, who was also around the 60. So is that our issue? I'm not 100% sure. They did not have a top running back. So, how does that fit into the equation? One of the other top teams last year was Minnesota. And if we look at Minnesota, they have no real weapons at all. They have this guy who was their rookie who didn't even do all that well. He went for 700 yards. Outside of him, they do have this young tight end who did go for 900 yards. But then outside of that, we don't see a running back listed anywhere near the top. Their quarterback's a 50. Their other wide receivers are both in the same range as our guys. Let's take a look at one other team here. I just have to remind myself who else we can look at. Let's see. So another top team was Dallas. So let's go take a look at how Dallas's team is made up right now. Dallas Lone Stars. All right. So they do have a top wide receiver. They have another wide receiver that's in about the same range as our guys. They have a running back in the same range as ours. They do have another wide receiver down here. Again, those same range as ours. And their quarterback, I don't even see their quarterback here. Their quarterback, did he actually start all the games? I know he barely started. Who was their starting quarterback? Their quarterback was a 38. So I feel like there's something going on here that's making our team not mesh well. Now, one interesting thing that I had never really looked at, but as I was trying to piece together what might be going on, I found, let me see if I can find the stat again. I think it was this one. Yeah. So what this does is a native player is one who is drafted by the current team. And if we look at these numbers, we are dead last in this by a freaking long shot. Offense, we're over 20% lower than the next team. Defense, we're actually not last, but we're almost last. Special teams, were dead last. And if we look at total, we're dead last by 10%, which this leads me to believe one of two things. Either this actually matters a lot because it helps with things like your team cohesion, or this just means that our drafting has been atrocious. One of the two, it could be a combination of the two. I'm not 100% sure what to think of it, but this is definitely something that stood out to me when I was reviewing some of the stats off camera here. So, where does this kind of lead us? What's the plan moving forward? I think that there's something going on with the kind of team cohesion here. As always, our defense is putting up very good numbers. I'm starting to believe that this could be an issue with our offensive coordinator, where maybe he's just not meshing well with our quarterback. The other thing that is of interest, at least to me, is I really don't think we need to stack our defense any more than it currently is. But our front seven has always been one of the best in the league. Our safety situation has never been outstanding. So part of me also is like, I kind of want to throw a draft pick at like a top safety. But I think it's more important that we focus on a weapon for our quarterback. And I think this is going to really be a make or break year for our quarterback. We have him on an extended contract, but he needs to put up better numbers. I don't know if the answer is that we're going to trade him. With how much he's getting paid, I really don't think a team's going to bite on a trade for him. I'm not looking to trade him this year, just to be clear. This guy definitely is getting at least one more year on this team to see what he does. And we'll kind of see where to go from there. So here we go, y'all. All right. I'm going to probably go with a different assistant coach. So let's go ahead, move things along here. Now that the quarterback out of Harry is at his max, he's considered 100% developed now. I'm probably not going to focus on a assistant that focuses on quarterback. So we're going to keep our head coach. Okay. This guy's considered best option for our team. Let me remind myself again. I always have to double check this because I always forget exactly how this works. I'm not sure why it's being all weird with my monitors here. There we go. So offensive play style or offensive philosophy. Where's that chart? So West Coast. We're going for a lot of short slants. We're going for a lot of finesse runs. Okay. So does that mesh well with our quarterback stats? Yeah, he does a lot of screen passes and short passes. So I feel like that goes right into our guy's wheelhouse. So even though I said we might swap it, this guy's considered best by 8 points right now. Next guy is also a West Coaster in terms of play style. I always forget. Some of these you can view both, some of them you can't. Yeah, I'm just going to keep our guy. I think, at least looking at that, he's the best option. Defensive is the best option. Okay, now, we don't specifically need a quarterback primary at this point. I was actually hoping for... Here's a guy that focuses on wide receivers, and he has the same play style that we use. Now, his scouting and interviewing, well, at least scouting, is no good. But he could potentially help boost if we do get a young talent. And again, motivation, discipline, I'm pretty sure those two are pretty important for an assistant coach. So he actually is interesting. Let's just take a look here. I feel like these two were both highly recommended because we got that really good rookie defensive tackle last episode, and they're both primary on that. But I think we're going to go with the Sam Swift guy. That's the guy that we just looked at. And we have the best strength coach. All right. Now we'll go ahead and set ticket pricing. Let's take a quick look here at if there's anybody worth cutting. We're not paying him much, and he has decent pass blocking. Keep him around. We're not paying him much at all. Tackle, barely getting paid at all. Now, this nose tackle, Archie Hall, he had a good year for us at least 2 years ago. I shouldn't say good. He had a decent year. But he's definitely now getting replaced by our new guy up here, Sean Cowart. So we're paying this guy $27 million this year. Let's go ahead and cut him here. All right, that opens up a little bit of cap space for us. Let's see, he's gone. I have to say, even though this guy, when he was our starter, I didn't like him, Roderick Middleton has actually been a comforting player to have on my bench. I'm happy with that. And that quarterback that we got last season, Casey Burnett, so far he seems to be progressing pretty well. So another great option that could maybe pan out in like 4 or 5 episodes. Who are the most paid players on our team? Harry Parrish. How did this guy do for us? He got 10 sacks, 22 quarterback hurries, 19 quarterback knockdowns. Exactly what I want to see. Interesting. Did Jermaine? I think Jermaine retired. Wait. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the almanac thing. Oh, come on now. Come on. You got this. Where the hell is it? Transaction log. There it is. Yeah, so Jermaine did go ahead and retire. Jermaine, thank you very much for your service with our team. He went for 442 tackles, 71.5 sacks in his career with us. He, when we started, was kind of the star player on our team. So, sad to see him go, but we were kind of anticipating him to retire. Everett Parker was also, I believe we drafted him in the first season together, and he has decided to retire. That's definitely a much earlier retirement than I would have anticipated from him, but is what it is. And then Cody Dunlap, whose name I don't even recognize. We picked him up last year to fill in a void for us for a little bit. All right, so we lost 2 of our stars. Not stars in recent episodes, but previous stars on our team. Let's take a quick look-see here. Who else is getting paid a lot? Nicholas Patino, let's just see how he did last year. 70 tackles. Let's take a look at 70 tackles, 1 sack. No interceptions last year, but he's still doing all right. All right. And I'm not going to lie, I love having a top corner, especially one who's like, this guy's 100% man-to-man, which means when we go up against, a team that has a star wideout, obviously he's not going to completely shut him down, but exactly what I love having on my team. We are paying Pedro Garber a lot, and he did not have a good season with us. That being said, we know our running game has been struggling basically throughout our entire time together. So I don't think cutting him is going to be the best idea. Let's see. Watanabe, down year. I think basically everybody had a down year though. He's decent enough. Okay. Let's just see what the game says that we need here. We definitely need at least one more decent defensive tackle. But outside of that, we're kind of free to go at this however we see fitting this year. So let's see how this goes. Let's see what draft pick we have. Wow. Top 3 players this year are all quarterbacks. All right, we have pick 14. And actually, if we look here, there's 4 wide receivers and 3 running backs. This is actually a very very offensive heavy draft, which is exactly what we want. We'll see who kind of falls to us there. Let's see what's going on in free agency first, though. So we already signed we haven't signed our players yet. We just looked at our players. Nicholas Patino, guy I love. What are franchises for these guys? Corner. So he's looking to be paid like a top 10 corner. I got no problems with that. Let's see. Darian Parrish. That doesn't look too high because defensive ends tend to get paid a lot. Oh, he's not even asking to be a top 20 paid player. Let's go, buddy. My kind of guy. All right. This inside linebacker, he's kind of been a mainstay for our defense recently. Past 2 seasons, he went for over 100 tackles. Yeah. I feel like whenever you have a player that goes for over 100 tackles, you don't really have anything to do but re-sign them. Let's see, guard. See if Watanabe will do a team deal here. So right now now he's asking for a bit of a raise. So let's not do that right now. Ooh, one thing that I did not have on my radar. Our other defensive tackle, now that Jermaine's no longer with the team, is on contract year. That being said, he's barely played, so he's probably not asking for much. That's exactly the case. Perfect. I'm not going to re-sign this center because I want to make sure Chandler is... Well, actually, this guy would just be a backup anyway. Although he was considered unhappy last year, so yeah, he's not going to be a starter for my team. So, this looks very decent for a punter. I'm going to be perfectly honest, though. Off the top of my head, I'm not entirely sure what would look good for punter stats. I don't know. He's considered a decently rated punter, though. I'll probably just pick up a rookie, to be honest. Let's see. Are there any players that are still considered... okay, so our two unhappy players are both leaving the team. Tackle. Not asking for much. Guard. Not asking for much, and he's willing to do a long deal with us, so let's go ahead and do that. Our other inside linebacker, not as big of a playmaker, but he's not asking for almost anything. I feel like if this is about team cohesion, and team cohesion is going to help us, I feel like this overall has been a very good offseason so far. We'll pull in this other tight end. That way we don't have to worry about that so much. We still have our long snapper. Here's a younger defensive end that we can at least pull in for being kind of a backup. Those are just potential conflicts. There's no like serious or strong conflicts, so not too worried about that right now. All right, and we have the cap space to probably pull in one or two big names this year. So let's see what's available. Ooh, top two on the list here are both wide receivers. Okay. Top player on the list, wide receiver. He's 5'9", 191 pounds. Let me just double check here. What are the sizes of our other wide receivers that are still around? So Chuck, he's 5'11", 183. And he's really the only wide receiver we have left that's worth a crap. So what's the size of this other guy? That's interesting. Both players... Oh, no, wait. I looked at the same player twice. Okay. Let's look at this guy's stats. Okay, a little bit of an older wide receiver. How old's this guy? He's 29. He had he basically had 4 seasons where he went for 1,000 yards. He's coming off of a 800 plus yard season. He definitely popped off 5 years ago. He went for 1,500 yards, 8 touchdowns, and actually as a second year in the league, he went for 1,200 yards and 15 touchdowns. That being said, I'm always on the fence about pulling in a guy that is coming off of a down year, just because that tends to be a pattern. Really quickly, what does the game say we need? I'm just interested. Game says we need defensive tackle, starting fullback, starting tackle. So we could go for this top tackle. Yeah, we only have one tackle on this list, so getting another tackle would be good for us. And I feel like that's going to be a little bit of a safer pick. Let's just see here. He's had a couple mild injuries, but nothing. He did have a knee injury here, but it looks like he came back and still played that year. He's had 3 solid seasons in a row now where he basically didn't get injured. And he's had very good sack allowed numbers. See what he's asking for. He's not asking for much. Let me pull up our ever so trusty franchise player salaries. So I would probably want to offer this guy to be like a top 20, or maybe a little bit less than that. So let's offer him 12 million signing bonus. We'll then offer him 9 million, 12 million, 15 million. That would put him basically as a starting pay. Another team got him. They actually offered him 2 million more than I did. Okay. Let's take a look at this other wide receiver that's available here. So 5'11", 191, 1, 2, 3, 4. So he had 5 when he joined the league, 5 seasons in a row, went for over 1,000 yards. He's never been a huge TD guy, and he's now been on the decline here 2 seasons in a row. It also looks like he didn't even start all of last season. Did he have an injury here? What was last season? Was that 2077? Okay. So he did deal with a couple of injuries last year. I almost feel like us paying some other players might be more beneficial. Let's take a look at this inside linebacker. Really good run defense rating. Oh, he's asking for probably too much. I don't really need an inside linebacker either. If he was outside linebacker, that would be much more enticing. Let's see. I'm a little bit scared to pull in a top defensive tackle just because they're probably not going to be starting unless there's an injury, and I don't want them to get pissed. Okay, actually identifies as a... Do any of these guys identify as a nose tackle? None of them do. Okay. Alright, well, let's just go past this stage. Alright, gray sheet. We're now around 4. Not looking too much of a fan of that guy. Asher Doyle. Now, this guy has been on our team, just as a reminder here. He had 2 seasons in a row where he did next to nothing. And then last season, he was actually our top wide receiver. He went for 1,000 yards. Not a touchdown guy, again. Last year was his highest at 4. Now, going back to what I said earlier, if team cohesion is a big part of this game, or at least a bigger part than I was expecting, maybe getting this guy back would actually be a good idea. He at least proved that he would work well with our quarterback. So I'm actually going to go for getting this guy back. He's not worth to be like a top 5, but maybe around that top 20 range. So getting him around 20 million on salary a year. So let's offer him 14 million as a signing bonus. And then we'll offer him, what we would need here, about 16 million, then 18 million. He's coming off of a decent year, which means another team might be willing to bid higher on him, but we'll try it there. And then that's about all that's really enticing there. Okay, we got him back. I feel like that's a good move, but maybe not. Who knows? We'll see here. I know we have the one really good cornerback. What's our other cornerback situation? We have 2 other ones in the 50s, so this guy's not really an upgrade. I feel like playing in another running back's probably not the answer. Here's another guard, and he's actually higher on run blocking. That actually might be good for us. Not asking for much. We'll give him a slight bump on the signing bonus so that he'll hopefully sign with us. All right, we got him. We're now at a point where, let me just take a quick look down this list, but we probably now want to focus on the draft. There's another tackle here that is good at run blocking, which might be worth playing. He's actually probably asking for too much. We got ourselves another wide receiver here, Ricky Blair, who his stats are pretty decent across the board. It looks like he's never really been a starter. He started a few games, but never really popped off. He's never really had a great season in any way, shape, or form. But this is the kind of guy where maybe we can pull him in and he'll work out better for us than he did in his old team. He's not asking for much. Now, I'm also not interested in getting stuck with this guy if he ends up sucking. So let's offer him a 2-year deal. Let's see, so we're going to give him a slightly higher signing bonus, and they'll pay him a little bit more for the 2 years. So $20 million for 2 years. Let's see if he'll take it. I feel like based on those stats, that actually is a decent deal for us. I'm just looking down this list here. I don't really see anything else that really stands out to me. There are a couple of outside linebackers. This guy actually used to be on our team. Won't you look at that? He played for us for 2 years and went for 15 sacks. Maybe we'll see if we can pull him back in. I don't remember now. I need to watch the previous episode as to why I didn't re-sign this guy. I don't know if he was asking for too much money or what exactly happened. Let's see if we can get him back because he did play well for us. Looks like one of them re-signed. So the wide receiver did accept our 2-year deal. And we'll see about this outside linebacker. Outside linebacker, where'd he go? There he is, still pending. I didn't see what, there we go. Okay, he signed with us. Okay, so now, if we look now at the kind of the top of our team here, we now have a lot of offensive linemen up here, which is good. That's not something we had like 2 seasons ago. We now, none of them are at the top of this list, but we now have 3 wide receivers that are in the 50 range. We still have the tight end in Watanabe. We have 2 running backs in the 50 range. I feel like this is looking good. We still need another defensive tackle. And then outside of that, we're kind of free to choose. So let's look at the draft preview here. As a reminder, we're pick 14. So I think if one of these wide receivers fall to 15, we should probably go for it. Let's interview a couple of these guys. So even though this guy's considered overrated, his bars are still ridiculous outside of third down catching. I'm going to mark him blue, though, because he is considered overrated. So this guy's considered as scouted. He's definitely the better player. at least based on our scouts. I don't think he'll fall to 14 though. It's not looking too pretty. We could pull in somebody like this, Everett Leon. He's considered the 5th tackle in the draft, which means he would almost certainly still be there. He's considered very overrated though. Okay. I don't think either of these running backs are falling to 14. So let's see. Teams that are defensive heavy, OJ Horn will probably go. This guy, Brian Watach, will probably go. I highly doubt that this outside linebacker is going to last. But if he does, he would absolutely be my pick. See, there are 2 other wide receivers that are down here a little bit. I don't think either of them are going to be worth a 14th pick. Even though we're not going to go for him. That's a lovely looking. Wow. Wow, all 3 of those quarterbacks are looking fantastic for the lucky 3 teams. Who are those 3 teams? Seattle, San Francisco, Kansas City. Now, I don't know if all 3 of those will go as top 3, but I would say there's a good chance they do. Here's another outside linebacker who would almost certainly fall to 14th. So mark him red. Here's another decent option. These things are very overrated though. Okay. Blew him. Let's look at these 3 running backs because, again, a boost in the running game would also definitely boost our passing game. Ooh, look at this. Turhan? I don't know how you say it. But this guy's numbers look really good. And he would almost certainly still be there. He's considered very overrated, and I never know what to think of that. So, very overrated, but his bars all stayed really high. I'm still going to mark him as red, but I'm really not sure what to think of that, to be quite honest. We could get the top guard in the league, but we have a number of decent guards, and they're both on, well, they'll at least be with us the next 2 seasons. Man, I feel like, ooh, here's another tackle. That's an interesting option. I feel like I'm in this situation where this is the 2nd season in a row where I really don't feel comfortable with any of the 1st round prospects that we have that we're looking at right now. Something like that would be interesting, but I don't think they're worth a 14th overall, and they're not going to last until the 2nd round for me. Now we have a super good center, but this guy actually looks ridiculous. He scored a red, which means very good. Like, I forget what red means. I think it's like top. It just says superior combined score, but basically his combine was ridiculous. All of his bars are nuts. He's considered very underrated. So that could be interesting. Not sure what to think of that. That could be... I wonder if there's a team that has 2 lower picks in the first round that we might be able to trade with. Hold up. Denver, Buffalo. I could be overlooking it, but I don't see a team that has 2 picks. No, I don't see one. Because I feel like we'll see where these players are going, but I feel like trading back might actually be beneficial for us this year. Just because I don't think there's a player that, at least I saw, that I'm like absolutely my 14th pick right there. Yeah, so we'll see. This guy's a really good passing down back. Because they're very overrated though. How lovely. Really highly rated left guard right here. Here's another really good man-to-man corner. He didn't do the combine or anything. And I feel like we don't really need a corner right now. Wow, I'm not really sure what to think this episode again. Just for fun. I don't think that he'll be... Well, OJ Horn will almost absolutely not be available. I talked about going for a safety. Let's interview this guy. So he could be an interesting prospect. He's really good at that kind of not only run defense, but the different passing defenses combined with interceptions. We're going to mark him. Man. I'm not feeling it. Let's see. Let's do this at fast for this first round. All right, so Seattle goes with quarterback. San Fran goes with a running back. Interesting, okay. Kansas City goes quarterback. Indianapolis, quarterback. Okay, so the top 3 quarterbacks went in the first 4 picks. Austin went wide receiver. Miami, wide receiver. New Jersey, quarterback. Cincinnati went safety. Tampa Bay, wide receiver. I'm really quickly going to pause this after Detroit here. Detroit, outside linebacker. Okay. This is a super heavy offensive draft, which was anticipated. We are up in 4 picks, so there's only 3 players left to go. Very interesting what options we would potentially have here. It looks like that we're going to have an option at one of the top tackles, because not a single tackle has gone yet. I was not anticipating these top tackles to still be here. So that might be a little bit of a in the dark shot. This running back, again, I was not anticipating him to be here. His combine scores were ridiculous, and he's already at 56% developed, so he could definitely be a plug-in play for our offense. Even if those options go, so let's just say these top 3 options are the next 3 picks. Because honestly, unfortunately, we didn't interview any of them, but any of these three would really be probably a very good option. Theoretically, if those all went, and we would then look at some of these other ones. The free safety here is still available, as is this awesome outside linebacker. So when I said that I wasn't happy with the picks we would have, I was not expecting it to go like this. So let's see what happens here. New England goes the safety that we were looking at. All right. Baltimore goes the top tackle, it looks like. And Oakland goes wide receiver. Interesting. So we have, I'm going to say 3 options. Actually, to be honest, he's also a decent option. Yeah, there's still a number of good options here on the board. So I think the 3 options that we really have, though, if we're going to take this, seriously, I guess is going to be the best way to put it. One of the top tackles in the draft, the second best running back in the draft, or the second best outside linebacker. So basically we're looking at second best of any of those. Let's just look at this for a second. Right now we do not have an outstanding tackle. So I feel like tackle would definitely be a huge upgrade for us. We don't know how good that running back is. He looks like he's freaking fantastic, but let's just say he comes in and he's like, we'll just say a 70, because even a 70 in this game is very good. I don't know how much of an upgrade that's going to be over Pedro here, because Pedro's numbers are all freaking good too. And then outside linebacker is a weak spot for us right now. Top outside linebacker we have is this guy, who was the guy that we just re-signed, and he's only considered a 51. Here's my thought process. I don't think that going running back's the right thing. I feel like Pedro Garber, his rankings are already good enough, at least that our scouting staff thinks that this guy should definitely be a starter. So I'm ruling out the running back. We then have the tackle and the outside linebacker. Our front 7 on defense has always been one of the top in the league. So I think we go with the tackle. That's my thought process on it. That's what I'm doing here. So and other note here, the tackle's already at 48%, so he should be a plug and play. All right, that was our pick. We're now going to zoom through to the second round here. All right, we're up again. In terms of players that we actually scouted, the next one that we scouted is also a tackle in here. But he's relatively far down the list. I don't think that he's actually our best option right now. Did that one guard that we interviewed go already? Looks like he did. And so did the center. Okay. So I say we take the top outside linebacker. Jonathan George here. His stats aren't ridiculous, but after the first round, you really don't expect these bars to all be sitting at the top. So I think that these bars look pretty decent. So he's considered the top outside linebacker left. I'm just confirm that's the case in here too. Yeah. So let's go ahead and take him. We know that we need a defensive tackle. And it looks like there's 1 or 2 here that might be plug and play for us. Those are actually really decent for third round. As is this guy. That's actually very interesting. Hold up. So the other guy was ridiculous at the top 3. This guy's stats actually aren't that good going below that. So I think I'm actually going to go with this guy, who's trash at this, but let's be real, he's a nose tackle. I don't really think that his man-to-man defense matters. So let's go ahead and take him. All right. What else do we need right now? If we go here, we actually have our entire roster filled out, so we're kind of free to do what we want at this point. I think we still need at least one more defensive tackle. We only have 2 on our roster right now. So let's take, again, top defensive tackle. That's also a nose tackle. Which should technically be this guy, who I'm actually not too pumped about. Maybe we'll save that. See who's top available here. One thing we could do. First, it was either first or second season together. We drafted a kicker who's actually been incredible for us. We could try going top punter. I feel like that's kind of a waste at this pick, though. So let's go back to this. I'm happy with our quarterback situation. I don't think that I want to do that. Maybe I'll take one of these top defensive ends. This guy's kind of 50 across the board, which is kind of nice. I feel like I would take the 50 guy across the board as opposed to this. This guy has decent bars here, but he has a really high pass rush technique, which for a defensive end, I feel is probably the most important field. I don't know, though. This guy also has high, and he's higher across the board. I'll go with this guy. All right. Now, this running back, actually, there's 2 running backs here that have red scores for their 40 times. Ooh, hold up a second. Dustin Fields. He doesn't have good power inside, and but what the heck? This guy's numbers actually look really nice. Okay, let me just look at the one other guy that was here. Yeah, I would definitely go Dustin Fields over him. And him. Let's go Dustin Fields here. Got ourselves a running back. Now let's try to get another defensive tackle if we can. Let's see if there's anybody in here that looks decent. These are all looking bleh. Here's a decent one, but he identifies as a defensive end. Huh. I'm not sure what I really think about that. That actually looks decent, but I feel like he also might last until next round. Let's see. At this point, I think that we just take top remaining in a position that we deem we need. So let's take one quick look here again. I say that there's actually, I wouldn't really feel like any of these are needs at this point. Maybe another tight end or wide receiver. Here are the top 2 remaining tight ends. This guy's really good at route running, but he's not good at blocking. This tight end is really fast for a tight end. And even though his blocking strength isn't great, he at least does decently at it. We'll try selecting him. And then we will get defensive tackle ended up going. I'm almost tempted just to pull a shot here on one of these punters. Nah, I won't. Ooh, this inside linebacker actually looks pretty hecka decent for a 7th rounder. Let's go with him. All right. Late free agency, here we come. We don't have a lot of money to mess with, so let's just take a quick look at, well, let's first look at how our draft went. Nose tackle, who we drafted in the 3rd round, looking to be a 71. Right tackle, who was our 1st round pick, looking to potentially become a 68. Outside linebacker looking to become a 57. Running back looking to become a 55. Defensive end looking to become a 53. Even though it doesn't look like we got a player that's supposed to skyrocket into like the 80s, this actually looks like a really decent rookie draft. We'll see how much those numbers shift though. And let's go ahead, look at free agents. We still need a punter. Or no, wait. Did our computer re-sign our punter? He looks like they did. Okay, that's fine with me. He's a decent enough punter. So let's just go down here a little bit. Top prospect that went through the draft is an inside linebacker, which we don't need, but if there's an injury, could be a decent plug-in. Here's an outside linebacker who, what teams did he play for? I actually played for us. Let's say he came in mid-season though. All right, we'll skip him then. We could pull in. Where's the top wide receiver? I still feel like wide receiver is a potential issue for us. Brad Smalley, technically, is 2nd year in the league, but he didn't do it. He went undrafted, and it doesn't look like he played at all last year. But let's give him an offer, just because he's the top option here. We're going to give him a 1-year offer, though. And let's look for one more wide receiver. Man, there's like freaking no wide receivers in this. This guy's absolutely nobody. One interesting thing though, the 1 year that he did decently, he went for over 500 yards. He got over 200 yards after the catch, which is interesting. I'm not giving this dude a 3-year deal. I'll give him a 2-year deal at the same numbers he's asking for. All right. Let's see. Again, we're really limited with money now. We got the wide receiver that we were actually just talking about. We got the other wide receiver. And boom, 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 brr, boom. We got the inside linebacker. All right. I'm keeping that 18 mil just to have it there for a potential mid-season trade here. As you can see here, we're actually really low on the cap room. So let's go ahead and continue here. One thing that I don't know if I've said it or not throughout this series, but you want to be careful with that cap room, because if you get to the point where you end the season with no cap space, you get penalized the next season where they just take draft picks away from you. So it's not ideal to zero out that number. Preseason went horrendously for us. I don't think we won a single preseason game. That being said, preseason's preseason. It's mainly to go through, see how your team's doing, get rid of some seasonal rust. So let's take a look here. We'll go ahead and actually run through the first game so that we get the correct starting lineup. We won the first game. We went for 22 points, which might be more than we scored any game last season. So let's see here. All right, our star center is out with a concussion. That is not good. Our top inside linebacker has a sprained knee. He should be back. All right. And in terms of our wide receiver game is still weak, but let's look at how Harry did in the first week. He threw 29 times, only completed 13 passes. He did go for 196 yards, a touchdown and an interception. So that sucks, but we'll see what he can do. We'll see what he can do. All right. Yeah, like our wide receivers are just definitely not the best. Hopefully with the line and the running backs, we can make this a usable offense though. All right, we'll simulate to week 4, see how things are looking. We won again. We scored 22 points. We scored 21 points. We scored 27 points. We're 4-0. No, but on a more serious note, when you have a top defense like this, that's kind of what I'm expecting. I'm hoping our offense can put up like at least 20 points. And then our defense will hold them to below 20 points. Our linebacker game actually looks really weak, I think. Did the one guy end up getting more injured? Yeah, Johnny McClay has not played at all, basically. Okay. We're dealing with a couple of different injuries, but so far, 4-0. And let's take a quick look-sees at the team summary here. All right. McGee has been averaging, what would that be, about 200 and... My brain just went completely blank. Somewhere a little bit below 250, about 240 yards a game. He has been getting 1 touchdown and 1 interception a game. Once again, our running game is not looking much better. What I will say is that he's definitely passing the ball around a lot. I don't know. Looking at this, I'm not 100% sure how our team's 4-0. But we're 4-0. I'm not complaining. Let's go to trade deadline here. So we'll do 3 more weeks. 5-0. We're 6-0. 6-1. Okay. Let's take a look at the team summary again. All right, McGee picked up the pace a little bit. This is still not great quarterback numbers, but he's at least doing better than he did last season. Our running game picked up a little bit. Still not great, but it picked up a little bit. Look at this. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8 different players right now that have over 100 receiving yards, but not a single one has more than 265. So this ball is getting passed around a lot. Our running defense is not as dominant as it has been, but our linebacker situation this year is definitely a little bit more iffy. Points per game, we're 8th in the league, so that's good. Yeah, this looks like an up season. I don't think that this is going to be a good season to do a big trade mid-season, but let's just take a quick look if there have been any serious injuries. Very interesting. Oh, he got a serious head injury. Okay, so Watanabe got a serious concussion, and if he returns, it looks like it's going to be for playoffs, which that's not good, especially since he's one of the top receivers that I have this year. Hyperextended knee, he should be back. Strained adductor muscle, I'm not even 100% sure what that is. It's some kind of groin injury, I guess. But he should be back for a couple of weeks before playoffs. Yeah. I don't think it's worth doing any big trade right now. We're 6-1. Even though we have the injury to Watanabe, I think we're going to be okay here. So let's keep rolling here. We'll go to week 14 and see how things are looking. Here we are up against Buffalo, who we know is one of the top teams of the past couple seasons. They did beat us. New England's also a top team. They beat us. Houston beat us. Okay, we're going on a bit of a losing streak here. Dallas beat us. Past 2 games, we've barely put up any points. So what's happening? I don't see anything here that stands out. Let's take a look at our team summary again. Look at how much that ball is getting spread across the field. That is actually ridiculous. And since I haven't given my quarterback a top wide receiver, I'm not 100% sure what to think about that. I don't know if that's just the kind of quarterback I have, or if it's that he views it that he does not have a top wide receiver. Very interesting. Our defense is definitely slipping. That's disappointing, but another thing that we might need to be working on. You can never have a perfect team. That's for sure. All right, we're at 7-5. Let's do the playoff probability, since this just screws us every single time. All right, right now it's saying we have a 37% chance of making playoffs. All right. Let's continue here. Going up against Washington. We won that. So we're 8-5. Going up against Athens, who's also 8-5. They beat us. Going up against New York, who's 9-5. So we have a hard end of season here. We're 9-6. And we're going up against Houston, who's 9-6. So does that mean that we have... So wait a second. So what this means is that we have to beat Houston. If we lose to Houston, we're definitely out. We have to beat Houston, and then it looks like something else has to happen here. Let's look at this real quick. Okay, so we have to beat Houston. Let's see. It looks like if we beat Houston, Athens would still be ranked above us. So we need, I think, Houston, we have to beat Houston, and then Athens has to lose, is what it probably is. Where's Athens in this list? They're going up against Indianapolis, which they should win that game. Let's see what happens here. Oh, Indianapolis won. Oh, but Houston beat us. All right. I'm pretty confident that means that we did not make playoffs, but we did increase from last year. So we're back on the upward trend, which is a good thing. Yeah, we did not make playoffs. So we'll sim through the playoffs here. Super Bowl this year. We have New York at Houston. Houston takes it in the year of 2078. We'll go ahead and save here. And just run a quick overview here, see exactly how our team did. So our running game did pick up a little bit, but still not a great running season. McGee did pick it up a little bit this year. He went for basically 3,700 yards, 23 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, which in the broad scheme of things here is still not good, but he's back on the upward trend, and I guess that he's doing better. Our defense took a huge plunge this year. If we look here, yards per catch, we were 31st in the league. Passing yards, we allowed the 31st most. And third down conversions, we were dead last. So this makes me think that we're now at a point where the safety situation or outside linebacker could definitely be messing with us. Since we don't have that outside linebacker that's like a star, us getting to the quarterback is probably not going too well. We actually should be able to check that real quick. Let's take a quick look-see here. So let's see. We are looking for rushing defense. No, this would be considered... Is it in here? Passing defense. It's in one of these. I just don't remember which one. Opposing linemen. Sacks allowed. So our team only went for 32 sacks, which is definitely in the bottom half. We were in the bottom half for passes blocked. We were in the top half for quarterback hurries. But this is definitely something that we should be focusing on. And if we look at our passing defense, take a quick look, you can see here, we basically allowed the most passes in, or passing yards against us in the entire league. So we're going to have to figure that out. Let's just also look at one other thing. We're basically even in turnovers, so we can't blame turnovers too much. And let's just take one other look here at the awards, season awards. We didn't get a single player in here this year, so that's what happens when you have a average year. So in case you guys forgot, in the first episode, I mentioned that in this series, I'm going to be playing through 20 seasons, and we're going to see how it goes. The goal was to win as many Super Bowls as we could. So far, we haven't really even come close to that yet. So hopefully in the second half of all of this, we will see an uptick, and we'll have a couple exciting playoff runs. But until then, I wish you guys all the best, and I'll see you guys for the next episode. AyyScare out.